So your results for the quiz that took place last week is now available on the LMS. So you can check right after class or during the break to finish yourself how you fared in that particular quiz. You are all welcome to today's lectures. And by the end of this lecture, it is anticipated that we will learn about the 4 main strategies that can be used to achieve an organization's long-term aspirations. And these include integration strategies, diversification strategies, defensive strategies, and what have you. We will also learn about Porter's 5 generic strategies. And finally, we will draw some lessons on when some of these strategies can be utilized as and when it becomes necessary for a given organization. But before we do that, the long-term strategies that organizations seek to pursue with these specific strategies that I'm referring to also has to be contextualized. So normally when we talk about long-term strategies, it is a universal truism that without long-term objectives, an organization will be drifting aimlessly towards some unknown end. So it becomes necessary that in order for them to have clarity on what they seek to achieve in the long run, it is important for them to spell out these long-term objectives. For that reason, you can characterize long-term objectives as those types of objectives that provide a sense of direction or a sense of purpose, which eventually guides the organization's efforts, their resource allocation, their use of time, and prioritization towards the achievement of their desired future states. Definitionally, you can say it refers to the results or the outcome which are expected to be achieved from the pursuit of certain strategies. The time horizon for long-term strategies go beyond the time horizon for long-term objectives go beyond that of annual objectives. And so we look at a time from 2 years to 5 years. In fact, it can be revised to something that should be pursued for about 10-year period or even more. What are some of the characteristics of long-term objectives? Beside the already features that we know about how various objectives are supposed to be stated, as in it being smart. David and David are of the view that the desired characteristics of long-term objectives encompass these 8 features that we have on our screen. And these include the fact that the objectives should be quantifiable, such that we should be able to express it in numerical terms, which will now serve as a benchmark for us to know whether we have actually achieved the feats that we intend to achieve. So normally when objectives are stated in terms of sales, profitability, we can easily quantify this as far as their pursuit in the long run is concerned. So in a nutshell, when we say long-term objectives should be quantitative, it means that the long-term objectives must be, we should be able to express it in numerical terms. And that will allow for their clear measurements, because if you are able to quantify them in numbers, then you can also measure them to achieve that quantity you are interested in. And that also allows for assessment. When the 10 years or the 5 years timeline is exhausted and you want to verify whether you have adequately achieved it, that quantification becomes a basis for you to assess it. And so the quantitative aspect of the characteristics of objectives helps us to achieve these things. Then it should also be measurable. When we say the desired characteristics of a long-term objective should be measurable, it means that they should be defined in ways that allow for a clear and an objective evaluation of the progress or otherwise of the objective. So the measurability of a long-term objectives ensure that the organization can track the progress over a period of time. And also, the data that is going to be derived as far as the progress is concerned can be used in taking decisions on whether to continue the pursuit of the objective or not to continue it. So normally, a financial performance of an organization may be expressed, in terms of measurability, may be expressed that you want to increase annual revenue by 20% within the next 5 years, so that the metric, which is the annual revenue figure, can now be measured based on whether the company is performing well or not. Then it should also be realistic. The realistic character of long-term objectives means that they should be achievable within they should be achievable given the organization's available resources, their capabilities, the challenges or the constraints that they may also be facing from the external environment. Excuse me. Which means that as much as possible, objectives are supposed to be grounded in reality, but not created out of thin air, which may be very difficult to achieve in reality. For that reason, it has to take into consideration the forces or factors within the business environment so that it can help the formulation of these objectives to be more realistic. And by this, I'm making reference to both internal and external forces that have a likelihood to affect the success or otherwise of the achievement of these objectives. Then it should be understandable. Long-term objectives should be understandable. The understandability of the objective's character also seeks to communicate that the objective should be clear and easy to understand or comprehend. And this has to be considered from all the stakeholders that have an interest in the organizational well-being. So whether you are an employee, you are a creditor, you are a supplier, once you have a stake in a particular organization, the objective should be articulated such that it is easy for you to comprehend. So if you are looking at it from the levels of management, right from the top to the lower level of the organization, everyone should be able to comprehend and appreciate or have a grasp of what the organization aims to achieve, irrespective of the role that they are contributing. Then we also say it should be challenging. Challenging here means that the objectives should stretch the organization and its employees beyond their current capabilities and performance level. And it is this stretch which will help them, one, function or operate in a manner that will set them apart from their rivals. Because if you are comfortably operating in your comfort zone, then that will it will make you more the word to you is it will make you more complacent, and you may take most of the success stories you are talking for granted. So by formulating the objectives to be a bit challenging, it will encourage the organization and its employees to function innovatively so that can drive their improvement, their performance, and also incentivize them to strive for higher levels of achievement. But as much as possible, the challenging nature of the objectives does not mean that we are supposed to set something that is not attainable. It should be challenging and at the same time attainable given the current resources and capabilities of the organization. The expectation is just to push individuals to go over and beyond their comfort capacity to see how best they may be able to bring more additions to organizational functions. Then the objectives should also be hierarchical. So hierarchy means arrangement of them in order of priority. And this implies that there should be a way to structure the objectives such that it creates clarity of or a clarity of them in order of priority, such that we should be able to see which ones will be which one should be the focus of the strategic managers, which one should fall within the purview of tactical managers, and which one should be the reserve of operational managers. And so the hierarchical characterization of the objectives means that we should be able to contextualize them to see which of these objectives are pressing for the top level managers, which one are for the tactical, and which one are supposed to be operational objectives for our local managers. And by so doing, it creates some form of division of labor for them to know what is required of them at any given point in time. And that will bring role clarity and not role confusion. So for the hierarchical characterization of objectives, in a situation where we are trying to use that to characterize our long-term objectives, we may say that at the strategic level, or for strategic managers, they should focus on expanding maybe the market presence of the organization within a particular continent, right, by a particular percentage. So you can say we want to expand the company's visibility within the Asian market by 25% over the next 5 years. And that can be the target of top-level managers. Then at the tactical level, which is the middle-level management, we can also derive an adjoining hierarchy of this strategy by saying that they should rather focus on establishing partnership with, helping the company to establish partnership with 5 major distributors within that particular continent where we want to increase our presence over about 25%. Whereas at the operational level, the task of operational managers will be to identify and negotiate contract with 2 potential distributors within the specific continent where we want to increase our presence. And at the operational level, you can say by the end of the first quarter, because operation means we are looking at the day-to-day or month-to-month activities of the firm that will eventually culminate to the achievement of the strategic imperatives. When we say it should be obtainable, obtainable comes from where to obtain. That indicates that the objective should be realistic and achievable. So in other words, you can say obtainable here means the objective that the company is pursuing should be something that can be achieved in the long run. And these are supposed to be discussed or considered given the organization's current resources, potential resources that they may be procuring in the future, and any form of capability or constraints that they may also be facing in the business environment. So as much as possible, there is the need to balance the long-term objectives such that they are challenging to incite innovation and creativity, but they must equally be obtainable or achievable so that it does not push the actors into a state that we call learned helplessness, wherein they will get to a mental state where they realize that irrespective of the amount of effort and contribution that they put in, they are not able to achieve anything at the end of the day. So the bottom line is that the objective should be attainable. And the 8th one is that it should also be congruent across departments or units of the organization. And that is what I mentioned that the last time we met, that it amounts to horizontal alignment. So congruence across department means that the objectives should be aligned and consistent across all parts of the organizations. And by parts, I'm referring to the various units or departments that are working assiduously in their own units towards a unison that will help in achieving the long-term objectives. Which means that although the respective departments are supposed to have their own specific objectives, these specific objectives must mutually support the success and activities of other adjoining departments or units. So this congruence is supposed to ensure that all departments are working towards the same overarching goal, and that their specific objective pursuits will not be curtailing or stampeding others' efforts towards that desired end states. And the last one is that it should be pursued in a timely manner. So timeliness, which means that you don't have endless amount of time at your disposal. The timeliness component means you don't have endless amount of time at your disposal. So the forger of any long-term objective should be bound within a given time horizon. And that is where you will have to specify whether it is going to be pursued within 5 years, within 2 years, or within 3 years. And by the time this time elapses, we should come to a considerable conclusion whether we have reasonably achieved this long-term objective, or there is a need for some allowance to be created for the objective to be adequately achieved. All right, so these are the desired characteristics of long-term objectives. And can you tell me some of the benefits that an organization can derive when they forge or formulate their long-term objectives clearly for all and sundry in the organization? What benefit do they stand to gain when they formulate objectives? Sorry, long-term objectives. Can you tell me some? In other words, why is it important for organizations to have long-term objectives in place? You can raise up your hand so that I call you to contribute. Hey, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, dog, we are.
Or your mind is somewhere else, crying? I am speaking into the air.
No, no, dog.
Okay, so who is ready to talk now?
Dog.
Sir,
Yes.
it helps
Okay.
in a proper allocation of resources. Because if you
Okay.
know what you
So
are doing, yes, it will help you. It will serve as a guide. So you know where to push a lot of money or funds or your resources, whatever it is. So it helps you to
precisely.
direct your resources. Yes.
Precisely. To even know where to prioritize and which one you can put in the fridge and later on attend to. So it's facilitated the judicious allocation of resources. Thank you. What else? Sandra.
Sir,
Yes,
Dog.
Sandra.
yes, I was going to say that it also helps you to measure your progress and your performance. So because you have objectives, you are able to measure how you are doing, whether it is within the short term or the long term, how you have performed so far.
Exactly. Without objectives, it will be very, very difficult for you to know whether you are performing well or otherwise. And so it gives you a sense of purpose that can be used to assess your progress in your operations. Is it Ibrahima or Berima?
Yeah, yes, Ibrahim. Doc.
Ibrahima, okay.
Yes. So I will also go for motivated employees.
Okay.
Yes. Because
Uh,
clear long-term goals, it helps employees understand what the organization is trying to achieve.
exactly. So
That
that
is
they
by
can,
increasing commitment and the staff motivation, usually that certain employees
yes.
give to their
And
employees.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
because
are
I
very right.
understand not all organizations motivate their employees.
Mm, mm. Okay, so the
Yes.
presence of these
Oh, this one, yes.
objectives alone serves as a source of motivation to employees to know
Employee, yes.
how they can also contribute towards it. And that will give them the clarity of mind as to the role they are supposed to play. So that alone will be a way of motivating them to
Motivating them.
contribute
Yes, you are.
to the desired end. Curtis. Yeah, Curtis. Curtis, can
Doc,
you get close to your microphone?
Doc, I want to make a contribution,
Look,
small one.
it also helps to build credibility externally.
Okay. Once you
Yes, sir.
have long-term, yes, thank you very much. It's clear now.
Hello?
Yes, Curtis, I've heard you. So
Yeah,
the
it also
presence of
builds
long-term objectives,
credibility externally.
exactly. Once you have it, people will take you serious that you know what you are about, and it will position you to be to be an entity that is serious about the business that it is pursuing. Emmanuel.
Yeah, Doc. Doc,
Hi,
I wanted
Emmanuel.
to say that, so in the simple term, can I say the characteristics of objective should be SMART? That is simple, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. Can I say that too?
Yes, you can. In fact, that is what we learned when we were in level, like during the undergrad. But if you take a sober look at what I have on our screen, I'm stretching it beyond the smartness. The smartness is the generic features that they are supposed to possess. But beyond the smartness, we also expect to achieve some level of congruence in its formulation. We also want to achieve. We also want it to be more hierarchical and what have you. So when you say smartness, you are not utterly wrong.
Okay.
Gilbert.
Yes, Doc.
Hello. Yeah, go on, Gilbert.
Okay, Doc. I would like to also say long-term strategic objectives enables organizations to provide a clear direction to the run of the organization that helps reduces uncertainty and minimize conflicts, therefore enabling consistency in decision making throughout the organization processes.
Wow. You see what you just did? You have pieced together about 3 or 4 benefits, which is incredible. Good job. So essentially, these are some of the benefits that organizations may derive when they have in place long-term objectives to direct their activities, including the type of strategy they adopt and how they go out to also implement these strategies. Okay. Despite the utility of long-term objectives to organizational success, there currently exists evidence that suggests that if these objectives are not also approached and dealt with appropriately, it may result in some negative repercussions for the organization as far as their fortunes are concerned. For that reason, we are going to look at some of the outcomes that may arrive when you manage not by objectives, when you try to manage and be competitive without utilizing objectives. And these include managing by extrapolation, managing by crisis, managing by subjectives, and managing by hope. So let's take them in turns. When we say you are managing by extrapolation, it means that you have a mindset that if the system you are running is not broke, then there is no need to fix it. That is the basic tenet or principle underpinning managing by extrapolation. So the idea behind managing by extrapolation is that the managers keep on doing the same thing in the same way because things are going on well now, without considering changes in the business environment, whether internally or externally. And this normally occurs when managers simply try to rely on their past glory or their past, considering whether the present alternative strategy altogether. So simply put, managing by extrapolation means that the managers that are in the helm of affairs are replicating the strategies that yielded fruitful results in the past into the future, without necessarily trying to understand whether such strategies will be more appropriate to the present circumstances they are facing now. If you operate in that regard, then you say you are managing by extrapolation. And the challenge with management by extrapolation is that it may lead to unrealistic expectations and failure because you are not adapting to changes in your business environment, but you are relying on strategies or initiatives that have yielded successful results in the past. So what we are saying here is that it is not wrong to rely on, in football, they say you don't change a winning team. It is not wrong to always rely on your winning team for subsequent matches that you will be facing, but it is important for you to also consider the specific opponent teams that you are going to face at any given point in time in order to know where you are going to place who. All right. The second one is management by crisis or managing by crisis, which can be likened to operating from a waiting mode as opposed to operating from a proactive or a seeking mode. Managing by crisis is said to occur when managers actually form reaction or they let events dictate. But in other words, the decision by emergency a predetermined mindset of scenarios. But as and when these scenarios, what they can do within that spare of moment to confront it. Which means that this approach involves an attempt to only address issues when they become an urgent crisis, rather than proactively setting a plan B there and working towards it. And this may end up resulting in burnout, in the sense that when you are not prepared for certain events and they strike, just like trying to quench a fire, the likelihood that it will drain you before you are able to control it is very high. And that level of burnout will not be healthy for the well-being of the stakeholders of the organization. And that also amounts to the notion that the company does not have any strategic direction that they are pursuing. Because if there is indeed a strategic direction, then there will be alternate strategies in place to manage such crises. And that is why when we were talking about how we formulate, how visions and missions are formulated, it requires that at any point in time, you get alternative strategies in place for such strategies to be fell upon when the need arises. Managing by subjectives. Okay, so managing by subjectives seeks to communicate that decisions and actions of managers are contingent on their personal opinion or feelings, rather than an objective analysis or a consensus that is coming from a team that is trying to champion the attainment of a given objective. And this implies that the managerial activity is designed or crafted around the manager or the personality of the manager, such that anytime there are changes in the managerial positions, then the organization also has to now dance to the tune of the emerging manager, which does not afford consistency in the pursuit of organizational activities. So as much as possible, we are not saying personal opinions of managers should be relegated to the background, but it should be brought to the forefront and subjected to scrutiny in order to forge out some level of consensus or something that can be perceived to be an objective criteria to be followed by all members of the organization. Then there is managing by hope. That is what the Christians will say, you are operating based on leap of faith. Leap of faith, which means you are leaving things to the whims and caprices of an external force, and you are relying less on your own initiatives and efforts. Managing by hope normally occurs when managers rely on luck. That is, they are thinking that they have good luck. And so that luck is likely to help them excel, rather than on concrete plans and actions to achieve objectives. So it's just like saying, oh, as for this semester, you are not going to learn, but you have higher hope and faith that God has already awarded you an A grade. If that is your mindset, then we say you are trying to manage the outcome of your exams by hope. And that is something we abhor when it comes to strategic pursuit of long-term objectives. This is because such style of management may lead to failures to achieve the desired results that we intend to achieve. And it cannot help us achieve, it cannot give us the confidence that we want to achieve consistent, favorable results over time. It may work sometimes out of chance or based on some circumstances that are going in your favor, but in most instances, it may not yield the desired results that you are basing your lack of faith on. Any question on these ways that we are being admonished not to use in managing our objectives? All right. Now the levels of, as for this one there, we already know it. Depending on the organogram of the organizations, there is, so in the corporate world, there's likely to be 3 main levels of management, ranging from the corporate level, the functional level, and the operational level. And if we are dealing with an organization that has different subsidiaries or divisions, then normally there is a sub-level which is created to be handling the varied divisions or business units of the organizations. So unlike the corporate level that will be responsible for the strategic decisions and actions of the organization, the tactical level will be responsible for, the tactical level of management will be responsible for the middle level managerial activities that ensures that there is a synergy in the operations. There is a synergy in the relationship that subsists across the various departments or functional units of the organization, ranging from the Department of Management, the Department of Finance, to the Department of Human Resource Management. And at the operational level, that is where the day-to-day operations and periodic targets that are expected to be achieved by the varied functional units of the organization are also demarcated for these respective operational managers to handle. Now, what are the specific types of strategies that can be used to achieve organizational success? Every target that an organization strives to achieve and the forces or factors within and outside the organization all come together to determine the suitability of a given strategy in championing an organization's long-term objectives? Generally speaking, there are 4 main nomenclatures of strategies that can be used in championing long-term objectives. And these include integration strategies, intensive strategies, diversification strategies, and defensive strategies. So we are going to take them in turns. And if I forget, please remind me to always chip in when we use each of these strategies. Okay? When it is appropriate or important to use these strategies. So we will start by considering integration strategies. What are integration strategies? Integration strategies are the type of actions or decisions that are employed by companies to ensure that they are able to achieve greater autonomy or control over their supply chain, their distributing channels, and also the level of competition that they may be facing. So whenever an organization wants to have control over its suppliers, distributors, and competitors, then it becomes imperative for them to fall upon integration strategies. There are several types of integration strategies, and these include vertical integration strategies and horizontal integration strategies. And they actually mimic the vertical and horizontal directions of the X and Y axis. And I say what we have now come to conceptualize as the Cartesian plane. So what are vertical integration? Vertical integration strategies refers to the type of strategies that help organizations to gain control over their distributors and suppliers. Their distributors and suppliers. And the vertical integration may also be pursued either forward or backward. So if you take vertical integration, we can also demarcate it into forward integration or backward integration. We normally employ forward integration when the firm wants to... Hello, can I be heard?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
We employ vertical integration when the company wants to expand its business into areas that are either close to or further away from the targeted customers, which means that the rationale behind why a particular company may decide to use forward integration is that he may want to get closer to the targeted customer or clients. And when they do that, it means they are going to cut out the middlemen that hitherto were going to act as distributors of their products or services, right? And this may involve taking control of the various stages of production or the various processes that you go through to distribute your end products to your targeted customers. A typical example could be a situation where, so for forward integration, a typical example could be, we all know blue skies. Have you heard about blue skies?
Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What are they into?
Processed fresh fruits.
Juice, yeah.
Very good. So they process fresh fruits into nice packages to preserve these juice, right? So when we say Blue Skies is using forward integration as a strategy to gain ownership and control over its distribution or retail product, it means that they will now set up their own outlets where the juice, the packed juice will now be sold. So they can now have their own distribution center at Kaneshi markets, or they can have one at West Hills Mall. They can have their own carts at West Hills Mall, so that right after they have packaged the juice, they will now bring it directly to their carts at these specific centers in order for customers to directly buy them. Instead of now giving it out to specific distributors that are in the middle of the supply chain. That will be a typical example of forward integration. Now, what about backward integration? Backward integration is normally employed when a company strives to gain control or autonomy over the suppliers of the firm's raw materials. The suppliers of the firm's raw materials, implying that you do not want the supplier to be dictating when they will be ready to give out these raw materials, how much they are going to sell them to you and all that. If you want to now gain control over some of these nitty-gritties of your raw materials, then you may have to pursue a strategy that we call backward integration. So a cocoa processing company in Ghana may decide to embark on backward integration by acquiring a cocoa farm that will be feeding the cocoa beans into that company. So that when it comes to the production of chocolates, the quality and quantity of these cocoa beans will now be determined by this new farm that the company has procured. And the quantity and quality will also be determined or controlled by the company itself. In the same example that I gave, as far as Blue Skies is concerned,
So
Blue Skies can backwardly integrate.
Blue Skies has the same strategy as well.
Exactly. So Blue Skies, what they do is that they have their own, in fact, aside their own farm that they have, they also go around purchasing thriving farms within its adjoining environment, so that they can always predict the inflow of the fruits that they eventually add value to into semi-finished and finished products. So that strategy will be a backward integration strategy. Can anyone give me an example of, let's start with the forward integration so that we will see whether we understand what we are doing here. Can someone give me an example of a situation that will amount to a forward integration?
I wanted to ask a question concerning the forward integration rather. Can I go ahead?
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, with the forward integration, as it's saying here, it's involved gaining ownership or increased control over distributors or retailers. But there are some companies,
Yes.
let's take it, I used to be with Cadbury Ghana Limited. And then what we do is, I was in the production department, what we do is, we don't have control over the distributors or the distributors or retailers. Why? Because the company sold, let's say we produce, they just sold to, let's say Far East, and whatever they do with it, that is our back case. What we need is our money. So in that case, what will you say about it?
So if Cadre wants to forward integrate, it means that they have to set up their own distribution channel and cut out those existing companies that are available at the Far East.
So please come again. Your
They will
volume
have
was
to
low.
come again.
It
Your
will be
volume was
difficult.
low, so I couldn't hear what you said. You said at the beginning.
Yes, no strategy pursuit is an easy, it will have an easy outcome. It will definitely be
Because it's
difficult,
if
but
you are looking
eventually,
at hello, sir.
yes.
If you are looking at expansion, then this strategy is very difficult because even in the case of Blue Skies, sometimes they try to control some of the customers. You see, because of the nature of the product, they advise that distributors don't sell in traffic. But when they come and take it, and they've realized that most of their market is in the traffic because with the traffic, the weather tends to
Compromise the quality.
temper with the temperature, and therefore, compromise with the quality. But it's been difficult for them to implement this strategy because distributors come and take it, and then you cannot chase them to know who they give it to or where they sell it. So it's very complex, this form of the forward integration. And with what Iman just said, if you want to look at expansion, so they turn it to the Middle East, and he said, okay, because of this kind of strategy, I don't want to send and have a control over it. Then it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, but if you have the means to expand, that shouldn't be any difficulty. In the example you give where sales in traffic gets to compromise the quality and the desirability of products.
Yes.
If we were functioning in a serious country where standardization of some of these products should not be taken for granted, then the companies will have to be held responsible for some of these contaminations that will be coming up as a result of how their products get to be sold to the targeted customers.
Yes, sir. With the outside countries, they are able to, because I know they sell to Sainsbury's in the United Kingdom, and with Sainsbury's will not allow you to take their products and compromise with the temperature. But in Ghana, it's difficult.
And that is what eventually will end up will result in the recall of a whole batch of a particular product which is already in the market. Okay, normally when they are recalling some of these batches, it is because of how of course, it could be as a result of some contamination that happened during the production, but normally how they are handled across the distribution channels also get to compromise and damage the products. So if you are an organization that wants to maintain your high-end reputation and you don't want to compromise on some of these things, then it is something that you have to contemplate on doing and not just look at the fact that, oh, at the end of the day, how is it going to affect those that hitherto were handling some of these things? In the long run, it is a good reputation that is going to build for you. All right. What about the backward integration? I want to be hearing some examples. Is any hand up? Oh, can someone give me an example of the backward integration?
Sir, as you said earlier, in the case of Blue Skies, I'm using Blue Skies as an example.
No, I want a different one. I want you to think. So I don't want a situation where in exams all of you be writing, oh, says as for Blue Sky, they go around and they have their own farmers. I'm
using that as an example because I know about their operations.
Oh, okay, okay. So it makes perfect sense for you.
Yeah.
So say,
Yeah, oh,
I
okay.
can also use my own example, like the same Cadbury Ghana Limited. You see,
No,
in
I
that
want a
case,
different one.
I wanted to use,
I want a
okay.
different, because the Cadbury one will also be in the same line of the Blue Skies one.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Esther.
Sir, please, I want to use my company, for instance. We produce cassava flour. So
Okay,
instead of us to rely on the farmers, we try to acquire land for ourselves to
okay,
produce cassava, to plant cassava for ourselves. So instead of us to be rely on the farmers to supply us the cassava, sometimes it's very challenging, especially when it is dry season. So we
okay, all right.
decided to farm ourselves.
So that you will always get access to
The raw
the
material, which is the
cassava.
cassava and the plantain, yes.
Okay. And in that way, if you are even interested in a particular variety of the cassava, that would be an opportunity for you to now
Yes, sir.
center on them.
Yes, sir.
All right. Yes, Curtis.
So the auto industry, Tesla.
Okay.
Yeah,
How are they backwardly integrating? Oh, Curtis, your line is mute. I can't hear you.
Yeah, dog. Is it always like the example
they make cars, but also produce its own tea. Hello?
Yes, Curtis, kindly repeat it again.
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Yeah. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Oh. Okay, Abdul Mimin, you were saying something.
Yeah, dog, please, I wanted to ask that, is ownership always going to buy, like the cassava example my colleague said, is it always going to buy the land? Or ownership can also be that I can strike a deal. Let's say Cargill Ghana Limited, who produces cocoa. Can I strike a deal if I'm into cocoa processing or cocoa products? I'm into cocoa drink. Can I strike a deal with Cargill that all your produce should be maybe 50% or 70% should come to me? Is it not also seeking ownership?
You are saying 70% should come to you.
Should be, yeah.
For
maybe 70%.
So, but that would depend on the arrangement you are making. If after a particular point in time, they can decide that maybe the agreement was for 5 years and we are no longer interested in giving it to you because we have an alternate client that is willing to give us something superior than what you are providing, then you see the level of control that you will have from that particular source will not be guaranteed. And that can have serious repercussions on the inflow of your raw materials. That is why, as much as possible, the control that you are ultimately seeking to have should be an ultimate one.
So, sir, let me use the precise example. So what they do is sometimes they have specific farmers. They even give them loans. So in the they give you loans, and then they have agronomists who come and check your farm practice, because you see, most of their product is exported. What you see on the local market is like 10%. So most of their product is exported to other foreign countries. So, and you see, the whites don't compromise on quality. So they even have agronomists who come on your farm, come and check on your farm practice. Whatever you produce, come to them. In the course of paying your loan, so they have a schedule for you. They will give you a schedule that when you bring maybe this quantity, we'll pay you this amount. So out of this amount, we take part as to defray the loan, and then we'll pay you part. But with that, within those periods, all that you produce come to us. So we come and check your farm practice, what goes into your farming and all that. And so whatever you produce comes to them. So they have a control. They have a control over what you bring to them.
Okay.
So is it not the same as me going to agreement with Cargill?
But that level of control is to an extent. In order to have an ultimate control, you have to be thinking about an arrangement where you have rather employed the farmers. So you have bought the farm outright from them, and you have employed them to be working for them.
So they have their farms, just that their farms, what they produce is not enough. And most of the fruit,
so in the strict sense of it,
we have here is seasonal. So sometimes they even go outside and they have farmhouses in other African countries where the fruit is out of season in Ghana. They go there. So those places, other countries too, they apply the same policies. But you see, because it's seasonal and there are times that Ghana run out of certain, though you get, but not in quantities that you want.
You are looking for, yeah. So in the strict sense of it, that wouldn't be vertical integration. That would be a partnership or an arrangement with those farmers.
Okay.
The portion where they are relying on their own farms is where we characterize as vertical integration. So note the thin line that separates the partnership and the vertical integration. Okay. Then horizontal integration. So the horizontal integration rather seeks to facilitate a company's expansion of its businesses by either acquiring or merging competing firms that may be struggling to survive, or that may also be in the same line of business, but if they believe by coming together or colluding, they will have a formidable stand in the industry against other players in the industry, then they may go in for that vertical integration. So the goal of the goal of horizontal integration is to increase control through partnership or but either partnership or ownership. So the part where you are merging will be the partnership, and part where you are seeking total control is where you are acquiring. And some of the reasons why they may pursue that is to achieve economies of scale. Maybe the partnering company already has proximity to the raw materials, and so by getting on board with them, you will also be able to tap into their access to and the quantity of their raw materials available. And the partner company may also be a good partner to work with when they will eventually increase the market share you will eventually have in the community of practice. And that may also be an opportunity to reduce the cutting-throat competition that hitherto existed between you and the partnering organization. So, unlike vertical integration, which seeks to gain control over suppliers and distributors, horizontal integration seeks to give competing companies an autonomy or control over their competitors. And in a typical example we've witnessed in the telecommunication industry is the merger of Airtel and Tigo, right? So that will amount to horizontal integration. And again, we are also hearing there is a move for is it Telecel that is trying to get AT, or say AT is trying to get Telecel? But there is that move currently, that conversation currently happening. If that also succeeds, such that we now have MTN and just another telecommunication company, which will be the merger of AT and Telecel, then that will also be a horizontal integration. And by so doing, you will realize that the market share, for instance, of the adjoining companies will now increase. So unlike MTN that is currently having over, I think 49 thereabout % of the market share, with the rest having to share the remaining percentage, such a move will imply that together they are going to have an appreciable, a substantial share of the market share as far as the telecommunication industry is concerned. And that will be horizontal integration. No, I think MTN has about 57% of the market share as far as customer subscription base is concerned. Then Telecel has about 20, and AT has about 20 thereabouts, if my memory serves me right. So these are the integration strategies, and detailed explanations of them and when to actually apply them are also available for your consideration. In a nutshell, integrative or integration strategies are employed when a firm wants to gain control, autonomy over its suppliers, distributors, or competitors. We employ vertical integration when the need to have control is particular about suppliers or distributors. But we also employ horizontal integration when the control is seeking to target level of competition or your competitors in a given industry. So you may want to pursue, for instance, a forward integration when your distributors are unreliable, they compromise on quality control standards. They also end up making the price of your goods and services very much expensive in the general market. And they also end up making your goods and services unavailable, even though you have a chunk of them already churned out. You may also go by the backward integration when you are dealing with unreliable source of suppliers. Intensive strategies. Intensive strategies are the strategies that firms normally employ when they want to improve their position or state in an existing industry as far as their products or services are concerned. So it bothers more about the position of an organization in a given industry. If you want to improve your position, your presence, and your prominence, then intensive strategy will suffice, which means you are already in the industry, but you are not content with your current position. So if, for instance, Telecel or AT is not happy that their the current market share they are having is just 20, whilst MTN is having about 57%. And they want to eat into the market share of MTN. Then they may have to use intensive strategies. There are three main typologies of intensive strategies. And these include penetration strategies, development strategies, so market penetration strategies, market development strategies, and product development strategies. Market penetration strategies. Market penetration strategies is the type of intensive strategy that seeks to increase the market share of a particular company by helping the products or services to be highly present in that particular market, which implies that they have to embark on an aggressive marketing campaign or efforts to make their products and services highly visible. And so that will require an intensive marketing effort, such as advertisements, promotion campaigns. So beyond the normal the aggressive advertisement that will be made on the televisions and radios, then there will also be these frequent parades that they will be embarking on using trailers. And so these days, they put some speakers and bus some they call them campaigners or advertisers to be marketing the products as they move through the varied communities where the targeted products or services are normally patronized. And this is directed to attract more customers or encourage existing customers to know the efficacy or the utility of the products. So if in Ghana, which brand? Let's say if Despite, you see, Despite has one of its units that is centering on neat products. So they have neat fufu, neat abenkwine, and neat fufu, neat abenkwine, neat plantain. I'm kind of say neat beauty. Assuming Despite wants to, and to be honest with you, these neat products are highly patronized when you go to Europe, US, and what have you, because in those jurisdictions, it is very much difficult for the Africans and, for that matter, Ghanaians to be traveling with the raw products of some of these cassava, plantain, and all that. And so once you're able to package it and make it available to them, then it becomes very much relevant for them to maintain their staple foods over there. But if they decide to embark on market penetration strategy so that it becomes one of the household products that Ghanaians will gravitate towards, instead of going for the tin, I'm kind of saying, the one where we use pestle and mortar to produce, then that will mean they will have to now embark on some form of campaigns or advertisements that will make it look more delicious, more appetizing. Oh, that is where you have to bring in some ambassadors that are of higher repute and of higher standing in society, particularly in Ghana. And once they are showcasing that, oh, indeed, there's no significant difference between these needs fufu and needs abenkwan and the traditional methods that we use to be preparing them. That will amount to market penetration strategy. And the end goal is that eventually Ghanaians will drift away from doing it the manual way to be preparing it using some of these niche products. Then there is market development strategy. Market development strategy. Market development strategy is normally employed when a company or an organization is already thriving in one geographical area, but sees an opportunity or a niche in another geographical area wherein there is an anticipation that the need for their goods and services will also be of products or services into new geographical area, which will also require, or it should be preceded by an intensive market research, marketing research. In fact, these days we even elevate it to marketing analytics, which will indicate the needs and wants of those that are found within that geographical area, which is untapped, and the problems that they may want an existing company to come and solve through their goods and services. So armed with this information through marketing analytics or marketing research. So first of all, you have to conduct the marketing research, and then you will do rigorous analysis of the information that you've gathered from the marketing research to understand the needs and wants of the targeted geographical area, how the products are supposed to be branded, how it is supposed to be priced, how it is supposed to be sold, and all that. And once these things are done, you will get to a pedestal where there will be room for you to seize that opportunity to expand your current operations beyond your comfortable zones. Then there is also product development strategy. Product development strategy. That is also a type of an intensive strategy which seeks to help an organization increase the volume of sales that they are currently enjoying. And this becomes successful to helping the company improve or modifying the present products or services that they may be having. A number of reasons may explain why an organization may not be doing exceptionally well compared to rivals, even though they may have been in that market for a longer period of time. And so, following the conduct of market research to understand how a particular product is faring in a given industry, the information that is derived on it can now be incorporated into all the efforts that the company is going to use to improve upon its products or services by innovatively differentiating it from what is currently, that will require some transformation of than the current products and services that are existing, which means that feedback from the customers is something that is not supposed to be product development strategy to succeed. And this is important because it is these customers that are going to be the end users of your product. So if they are giving you feedback and they want you to increase the size of the product, or maybe do something about the price of your products, the packaging of your product. And that is. So there are a number of guidelines that you can follow to pursue penetration, development, and product development strategies, which you can consider later on. Next to be considered are diversification strategies. Diversification comes from the word diversify. Diversification strategies are normally employed when a firm seeks growth by either entering into a new industry or coming out with new products to complement their existing ones. Diversification strategies are normally employed whenever a firm or a company wants to increase their growth or stance in a given industry, either by entering other industries which they are currently not chartering, or introducing new products or services which are not currently part of their product portfolios. There are two main types of diversification strategies that may be employed depending on the outcome that the company seeks to achieve. So, and this outcome may be whether you want to bring a new product to complement your existing ones, or you want to bring out a new service to complement your existing ones, or you are currently excelling in your current community of practice. So you want to channel some of your profits to venture into other markets or areas where which you would think there are more opportunities for you to venture into. So we have related diversification and unrelated diversification. In related diversification, a company enter into a new market or introduce a new product or service altogether, which are related to their existing business. So I'm taking it again. In related diversification, a company either enters into a new market or they introduce a new product or service which is related to their existing line of businesses. And the rationale behind related diversification is to leverage on the current reputation, prestige, or the current competencies that are available to replicate it in a similar line of business which can bring in more profit for the organization. And when you do related diversification, the implication is that you are going to use the same resources and turn it into a new product portfolio. You are also going to rely on the same capabilities that can help you to create competitive advantage. And this becomes particularly important when you realize that you are either underutilizing your resources and capabilities. Okay, so a typical example could be a situation where a telecommunication company in Ghana, which is known only for mobile phone services, now decides to diversify into offering internet services. You know, the telcos initially in Ghana, when we used to have phone booths, their prime fixation was to offer mobile phone services so that you can communicate from one part of the globe to the other. But as we speak now, they are equally offering internet services as in terms of the data packages that they offer to clients to serve the internet. In fact, some of the branches of these telcos also have an in-house unit where you can go in to use form of activity that will require the use of internet, particularly if of internet to use. So some of my colleagues, he was doing his Viva. He did his PhD outside, but around the COVID era, it was important to conduct the PhD Viva online, the PhD defense. And he did it in one of the internet rooms of, at that time, it was Vodafone, now Telecel, which provided him a seamless access to internet. So that would be a type of related diversification. So another example could be a situation where, and I think right now most of the telcos are doing it. So if you take banks, traditionally banks are expected to offer financial intermediation. So to regulate the circulation of deficit and surplus of funds. So if you have money which is surplus, then you go and deposit it there. And if you are in need of money, but someone has an excess over there, then you can go in there to borrow in a form of loans, right? So that is the traditional role of banks in any given economy. Regulate the deficit and the circulation of deficit and surplus of funds. They are diversifying into the provision of insurance services. Okay, so if they drift away from such regulation of deficits and surplus of funds into insurance, that can also be typified as a related diversification. What then is unrelated diversification? As you may have noted now, in unrelated diversification, the company enters into a completely new market or industry, or they churn out new products or services that are not related to their current line of business. And you can think of it as an avenue for them to spread their risk. Some people will say you don't have to put all your eggs in one basket. So if that is your contemplation, then you will have to go in into, and the venturing into will mean you are not necessarily going to rely on your current resources and capabilities that will businesses that you are entering into. A typical example will be a situation where let's say Blue Skies, which is noted for coming out with processed fruits, processed fruits that are packed and sold into the market. Now, if Blue Skies embark on this venture, then we will characterize it as unrelated diversification, because real estate business, the correlation between real estate business and that of processing and distribution of fruits down to unrelated diversification. Again, let's say in the current market share that they have and the huge profits that they are recording annually, if they decide to now enter into the hospitality industry, to now set up chains of hotels and call it MTN chain of hotels, that will be an unrelated diversification, because the relationship between telecommunication and hospitality is quite wide. So that is how a firm may decide to diversify through the unrelated means. Okay, so we normally employ, whether related or unrelated, irrespective of how you look at it, each of them is employed to command some growth opportunities in the industry that you are operating. And it is also normally pursued when the organization has excess financial resources that they may want to add value to. But if you want to spread your risk across different portfolios, so that if your current or predominant one is not doing so well in the future, you can still be able to cushion your company from other avenues. Then that is where issues like unrelated diversification becomes imperative. Okay, these are detailed guidelines on how you may go about, in fact, when they become more appropriate to implement them. So you can take a sober look at them later on. Next to consider are defensive strategies. Defensive strategies. As the name suggests, we employ defensive strategies when an organization's market share, or maybe their level of their competitive position in a given industry, is struggling. Again, when an organization is also struggling to even break even. So their level of survival is compromised. Then defensive strategies become imperative for them to survive. So the employment of defensive strategies are normally achieved when there is an external threat that the company cannot contain. So the first defensive strategy that is available when a company is struggling to survive is what we call retrenchments. And so retrenchment is one of the strategic options that a company may fall on when they are struggling to even break even, and the profit that they hitherto used to record has reduced drastically, such that it does not make rational sense to be maintaining all the various subsidiaries or branches or arms of the company. So we employ it to reduce the scale or scope of a business so that you can still maintain profits whilst rationalizing the system to function in an effective and efficient manner. It's also taken to improve a company's financial performance, and that is why I say when they are struggling to break even, that means their profits will be reduced. So by streamlining operations and delayering departments or branches that are currently underperforming, it gives the company an opportunity to focus on their core activities. So typical retrenchments initiative or action that may be institutionalized by an organization as a form of a defensive strategy to stay afloat include downsizing. And downsizing means the company takes a bold step to reduce the total number of employees or workforce that are currently working in there. Downsizing normally takes into consideration individuals who are not contributing to organizational success, having given them several opportunities to improve their performance, which means that whenever we are contemplating a retrenchment through downsizing, we check performance appraisal outcome of individuals to consider the varied initiatives that their supervisors or managers had taken for them to improve upon their performance inefficiencies through training, through provision of work resources, through the provision of adequate PPEs or working equipment, provision of conducive work environments, and it's in fact alignment of such individuals with job opportunities that match their knowledge, skills, and abilities. And if after all these attempts, they are still not able to perform, then it suffices to say that the organization will have to get rid of them by so that is what they call. Hello, can I be heard?
Yes, dog. We are here.
Okay. So that is what they call in their minds they have a word for it. The mining industry, it normally occurs over there. They don't characterize it as downsizing or retrenchment, that they call it. Oh, if the right term comes, I will mention it again. So beyond downsizing, companies may decide to retrench by selling off some aspects of the assets that are ongoing conversation about some assets of SNIT that they want to offload, which during the NPP time, it came up and politicians such as Brian Champon, it's redundancy, but it's not redundancy that I want to use over here. There is another word that they use over there, which it amounts to redundancy, all right, but there is a particular term that they normally use whenever they are embarking on that. So I don't know if you've been following. Yes, what? Oh, I'm struggling to hear you well. Oh. Can you get close to your microphone? You type it in the chat box because I can't hear you here. Did anybody hear him? Turnover. Thank you, Stephen Wk4. Thank you. Turnover. That is the term I'm looking for. So technically, they will be saying, "Oh, we are embarking on a turnover exercise, which may be partly involuntary, especially when they are using that. They are considering those that are not contributing to organizational success to get them out, and that will be a way of that will be a defensive action to remedy their current situation." I was saying that in the past few years, it keeps going back and forth. At a point, why is the way always breaking? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, dog, it's
Yes,
breaking,
please.
breaking sometimes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello, can I be heard?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. You can also decide to sell off the. All right, thank you. You can decide to sell off portions of the units or assets of the organization that are currently not doing so well in order to cut down your losses. And the ultimate option as far as retrenchment is concerned will be to exit, to move out of a particular market where you are struggling to record profit or success. Once you take all these initiatives, then we say it is a retrenchment exercise, which is a reactive strategy to reverse a decline in the performance of the organization. Then there is also divestiture. divestiture. Divestiture is also a defensive strategy that is employed when an organization is equally struggling to perform, and for that matter, they decide to sell some divisions or product portfolios that they are not able to maintain very well. And normally the sale of those divisions is to raise capital that can be injected into the survival of the parent company. Right? That is normally when they sell off or they give out portions or part of the organization, the intention or the rationale is to raise some capital that will be used to cushion the parent company to strive in terms of their performance and also the decline that they were recording. And there are several avenues or types that the divestiture may take, which may include an attempt to sell off non-core business units. So when we say you are selling off a non-core business unit, it implies that the company is having multiple sectors or multiple divisions, which each of these divisions may be embarking on an activity that is not necessarily connected or related to what the parents division, the headquarters may be doing. If that is the case, and it comes to the fore that some of these multiple sectors are struggling, then you may decide to diversify by selling those that are not doing so well. And that is the conversation that we are currently having. That is currently happening in the media landscape as far as sale of some properties of SNIT and I think it is SNIT and there is another one in Takrady. Yeah, the sale of their assets is concerned. Now, another divestiture strategy that will be employed. Yeah, hello.
Yes, please. It's time for a break.
Hey, okay, thank you, thank you. So we'll pause here and continue in about 30 minutes time.
Okay, Doc.
Wow, it's already 10. I see. Okay, good morning once again, and welcome back to the second leg of our today's meeting. So we were deliberating on diversity as a type of a defensive strategy, and we learned that we normally employ diversity as a strategic option to help an organization that is struggling to maintain a division or a part of its organization, to get rid of it in an attempt to raise capital to further other strategic acquisitions or to cushion the existing parent company. And I was indicating that a current example that I can cite in our Ghanaian landscape is the intention of SNIT to sell 60% of its stake in several hotels that it has stake in. So currently, SNIT has a stake in Labadi Beach Hotel, La Palm Royal Beach Hotel, and the Rock City Hotel. And the argument of SNIT is that, hello?
Busia Beach. Busia Beach.
Busia, yes. That is the Western region one. I nearly forgot. So the argument of Smith is that it is managing the funds of contributors, and it will want to invest these deductions that are coming from contributors into profitable ventures. But for them, these specific hotels are currently underperforming. And if you look at the long-term repercussions for people that will be going on pension in the foreseeable future, it wouldn't be a good case for them. So they rather want to defray their stake in these specific hotels so that whatever they will recuperate from it can now be used to be channeled into other forms of investment that will yield more returns for pensioners and other contributors, which falls within the diversity discourse we are currently having, because the philosophy behind any diversity move is that some portions of your business operations or some units may be struggling to make ends meet. And if you look into the future and it wouldn't yield fruitful results, it is proper you cut those ones off while you concentrate on the ones that you believe can help you generate more returns. So that will be a good example I can cite for diversity. I think ECG, recently there was also a similar conversation concerning ECG, wherein they wanted to offload the collection of payments portion from the core mandate of ECG so that it will be taken up by a private entity. And the union members within ECG were very much agitated because they saw it as an opportunity. They saw it as a means to eventually get rid of a number of them. But from a strategic point of view, maintaining ECG as it is now will also result in several loss incursions, which will require them to be periodically increasing their bills, making sometimes access to some products to be procured quite difficult. So it becomes a conundrum to navigate, because if you don't embark on the divestiture initiative, you are incurring losses and you are being swallowed by inefficiencies. But if you also indulge in it, then you are being chased by some active members in your organization. Next to be considered is liquidation. Liquidation. And technically speaking, it is the last resort that companies subscribe to after all their alternate strategic initiatives have yielded no results. So what happens in liquidation is that the company that is not in good health financially decides to sell all the company's assets, either in parts or as a whole. And they may file for bankruptcy, which will guarantee them an opportunity to go ahead with the liquidation exercise that they may want to do with. The challenge with liquidation is that, apart from the fact it can be very much emotional, because you will turn around and have that bad reputation that you were part of the people that superintended in the organization activities, which resulted in the bankruptcy and the liquidation. So apart from that bad image that you may create for yourself, liquidation is also characterized as an admission of defeats. Because if you had any other viable solution, you will not be filing for bankruptcy and eventually to sell off your assets in order to generate some funds to pay your investors. So it has to be attempted with the portion it deserves. Now, these are summaries of all the...
Hello, Doc.
Yeah, hello. Yes, hello.
Yeah. No, I wanted to ask this question. You were saying that divestiture, when the company needs amount of cash, you can go back a little back.
The divestiture.
Like I said, when the company, where is it? Okay, you let me ask my question. Saying that when the company needs a lot of cash, after retrenchment and other things flow, and they still need a lot of cash. So can you say that selling shares and partnership also a divestiture? Selling of shares.
No, that one will be an avenue for people to have a stake in the organization.
What of partnership too?
Partnership will fall within the so partnership, and are they partnering to now come and own a portion of the some of the assets of the organization, or is the general partnership that we are aware
they are
of?
partnership they are partnership to be part of or the ownership of the organization, because maybe all when all plans fail and so the company need to be on its feet, and then we decided to be partner maybe another company for capital injection.
No, that will fall within the mergers and acquisition discussion that we were having.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, Doc.
Yes, hello.
Yes, please. This is Gilbert. Regarding the defensive strategies on the liquidation aspect.
Yes.
Yeah, you made mention of, let's say, the reputational damage that it could cause to, let's say, one's image, assuming one is part of the firm, and let's say
the firm that eventually went bankrupt. Yeah.
Okay. Also, is it always the norm? Because there are sometimes issues that happens out of hand that, let's say, the stakeholders who are within the firm do not have control. For instance, when you take the construction industry in Ghana, there are certain construction firms that are going through liquidity crisis due to no fault of theirs, but because of government failure to honor its parts of obligations. We have some firms who have undertaken certain construction tasks. Since 2022, they have raised certificates for payment. Government have failed to pay them, and they cannot continue to be dishing out monies to pay employee salaries, whilst the work that is being done have not been paid. And moreover, they have taken loans from elsewhere that they are servicing these loans with interest. But government have locked up their funds. So if one is part of, let's say, this industry and this strategy takes place, I think the person can well defend him or herself because it was not
precisely. In fact, the circumstances will even be self-explanatory that given the challenges that are beyond your control, there is no other thing that you could have done to turn things around. So under such circumstances, it will make sense for you to pursue this strategy. In fact, Pakwasi Ndung, formerly of GN, was it GN Bank or GN Savings and Loans? I learned he's now also successfully received license to start operating. If you look at the work that he was doing and the locked-up situation that his funds were with contractors, for which the government was also either deliberately or whatever locking that particular fund up, it made sense why eventually they became suffocated and went out of business. So under such circumstance, all that are trying to make sense of your experience will even sympathize with you. So under such circumstance, it will make sense why you are trying to pursue this particular strategy.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay, now let's also look at Porter's 5 generic strategies. Beyond these 4 specific types of strategies that can be used to champion the pursuit of an organization's long-term objectives, Michael Porter has also propounded his generic strategies, which he believes that whenever you are trying to remain competitive and also striving to surpass your rivals in any given community of practice, by applying the basic tenets of these generic strategies, you should be able to stay afloat and achieve superior strides in your community of practice. Originally, it was just 3 generic strategies, and these strategies were cost leadership, differentiation, and cost and focus strategy. But with the passage of time, other researchers observed that when you intersperse them, that is, if you do the permutations and combinations, there can be a situation where you can have.
So we are losing you, or is it from my end?
Yeah, hello, Doc.
Come again.
Hello, sir.
We are not hearing you. We went faint.
Oh, really?
Yes, Doc.
Is it better now?
Yes, please. It's okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
okay,
please.
Okay. So at what point did you lose me?
About the cost leadership.
I hope you will not say the whole show. All right. So I'm saying that Michael Porterfish, he believes that if you want to achieve your long-term objectives and also remain competitive in a cutting-through competitive environment. You can draw on some inspirations from these generic strategies. Originally, he put forth 3 main generic strategies, and these are cost leadership, differentiation strategy, and focus strategy. But with the passage of time, other authorities also came forth to add on by saying that when you do a permutation or combination of the 3 generic strategies, it can give you 5 different strategic options, which can equally give you an edge over your rival, depending on the issue you are trying to address and the long-term objective you are trying to appreciate. And that is what has now become known as the 5 generic strategies of Michael Porter. And these include cost leadership strategy with emphasis on low cost, then cost leadership strategy with emphasis on best value, differentiation strategy, then focus strategy with emphasis on low cost, and finally, focus strategy with emphasis on best value. What are the primary explanations for cost leadership, differentiation, and focus strategy? So when we say a particular organization is using cost
Hello, no, we're not hearing you.
Hey, still, you can't hear me.
Yeah, your voice was faint. Hello. Very faint.
Was very faint.
Hey, assembly, let me check. Just a minute. Better now.
Yeah. Yes, no.
Okay, so I think I have to be holding it like a microphone. So I was saying that what are the explanations for cost leadership, differentiation, and focus strategy before we come to their permutations? So when we say an organization is using cost leadership to pursue the attainment of its long-term objectives, normally to have a competitive edge over rivals. What it simply means is that the company is interested in producing on a mass scale or on a large scale at cheaper prices, mass production. And in the strict sense of it, whatever it would take for the company to do this mass production becomes the fixation of the operations of the company. And in doing so, they try to capitalize on cheap labor, proximity to raw materials, and also cheap transportation or carriage costs. But with the is it clear now?
Yes, Doc.
With the complications that the tastes and preferences of customers gets as time passes, it became important that firms should not be only concerned about producing on a large scale or doing mass production at the compromise of the value or the quality. And that is why the variation of cost leadership also came in, wherein the intention is to target the entire
You are gone.
world or the global landscape as with some attachment leadership, low cost, and cost leadership, best value, so that they are all mass scale production. But The cost leadership low cost will be a situation where the price is very, very cheap, but its durability is also compromised. Whereas the cost leadership best value is where it is produced on a large scale, but the value is quite superior than the one that is considered under the low cost leadership. Then there is a differentiation strategy wherein emphasis is on the utilization of some form of innovation to serve individuals in the industry that have deep pockets and who are willing and ready to pay substantial prices for premium services, which implies that irrespective of the final price for the product or service, because of the quality and pristine nature of the product, the targeted audience are ready and willing to pay for it. So for such products, you can be thinking about products like the Tesla, iPhone, Apple products, and what have you. Then we have the focus strategies, which seeks to target a particular niche which have peculiar needs or wants and have been inadequately addressed by the strategy that is championed from the cost leadership perspective or the differentiation one. So what happens with the focus strategy is that an attempt is made, and for that one too, there is a variation. An attempt is made to produce on a small scale because the targeted market which is going to use the products are normally not large. And for that reason, there is the need to produce a tailor-made outcomes that will address their peculiar sentiments. So if you pick the cost leadership, you realize a number of cost elements affect the relative attractiveness of a particular product in order for it to be cheaper in the market. And these include whether there is economies of scale, wherein you can produce on large scale, get higher, sell all of them within a short period of time and get higher returns, which can then be injected back into the business. And then there is also the likelihood that the distribution channels or the suppliers that you are currently having is very much close and they are not charging you exorbitantly. So you are also not carrying over the cost that you are incurring. Under such circumstance, if you are getting cheap raw materials, cheap labor, and the distribution channel so it's not giving you an exorbitant cost, then you can afford to utilize the cost leadership strategy. In this day and age, a lot of organizations are actually rolling out technologies that can help them produce on a mass scale at a cheaper cost. So if we are dealing with the first variation, which is low cost strategy, then that is the generic mass production, which may be coming from China. But beyond those mass production, there are other versions of these Chinese products which are produced on a large scale, but for individuals that have fine taste for value and quality. So the production is done on a large scale, They also rely on a technology that can afford the production to be done on a large scale. And that mass production definitely will rely on some form of cheap labor and cheap raw materials and cheap production process. But instead of reducing the quality of the products, they scale it up a little bit for those that are interested in such mass products, but at higher quality. And that is the best value strategy, which seeks to offer products and services at a wide range, to a wide range of customers at best price value available in the market. And so those are the kind of, you may buy, so there may be two phones that are made in China. But if you compare the functionalities and the value of those two phones, maybe Samsung or iPhone, you realize that one of them, immediately you plug, then it starts heating. And by the time you realize, the phone will be burning. But other ones will be able to withstand some of these conditions. And sometimes they even designate some of the product that this is for the European market. This is for Asian market. It is not supposed to be sold outside the American market, indicating that in as much as they are producing for mass consumption, there are levels in it that can result in value additions to differentiate the low-cost ones from the best value ones. Somebody is asking, can firms pursue all strategies simultaneously? Hey, why will you want to perform all these things strategy? And it will also depend on the number of product portfolios that you have, right? If you have only one product portfolio and you are also currently targeting the entire world, then it will imply that in order to compete with your rivals, you have to be thinking thoroughly about the final pricing of your products. You also have to be thinking about the quality of the product that you are bringing out. So you may start with the low-cost strategy and then add the best value components so that in as much as you are just doing on a mass scale, you will also be able to serve individuals within the masses that are interested in that also have fine taste. It also depends on who is your competitor. So if you take Samsung and if you take, let me say if you take iPhone and Technophone, right? You realize they have different target audience altogether. Of course, everyone that is trying to patronize iPhone or Samsung and that's a Technophone is interested in communicating with colleagues or friends or significant others. But at the end of the day, the characteristics or the background of these customers as far as their purchasing power is not the same. Whilst iPhone is emphasizing on quality, innovation, individuals with higher taste preference, Technophone is interested in making phone accessible to anyone that at least wants to make an attempt to own a phone. So if you compare how much iPhone, I don't know if it was this class, no, because currently it is costing, iPhone is costing like, is this a 30,000 thereabout, the current version? I think it's either my other class or this class. Meanwhile, this 30,000, someone else may just use 2,000 to get a Technophone that can equally do the same job. So you have to understand, first of all, the target customers that you are trying to serve, and whether that particular target will be able to help you realize the profit that you intend to gain. Because if you look at the sophisticated nature of technology that iPhone is having, some of which they now embed it to the extent that if you are not having, if you are not on their iOS, you will never be able to download some of their updates. And even when you are there to get updates, you are either supposed to go and swap the phone for a higher version or pay before you get the upgrade. Oh, somebody that is concerned about the security and the access to some of these technologies will not have any question. But for others, they may want the free versions that are being piloted on platform, your friend is saying, on Android platforms to get equal services. So it depends on the target audience, which will require you to either blend multiple of these generic strategies or to center on just a few of them. But let me add that although differentiation strategy can help you to come out with innovative products and standards which can command higher prices for the products and also higher profits, it is not a guarantee for competitive advantage. Especially if the innovation you are currently commanding does not sufficiently meet the needs of your customers, or it can be easily imitated by competitors. So one of the current challenge that Apple as a company is facing is that in order for them to produce at a cheaper price, they have set up some of their industries in China and in the Asian economies. And that will mean that most of their patented know-how will have to be shared with their compatriots that are there operating. But you know, these Asians, they don't mind the patent you have for your technology. They are almost always reverse engineering innovations that are coming outside their countries. And once they are able to understand it, they just replicate it without any consideration. Of course, you may be filing lawsuits against them here and there, but at the end of the day, they will also be giving you a run for your money. And that is why I mean differentiation does not, although it's a good strategy, does not necessarily mean it can guarantee the attainment of competitive advantage. Unless, of course, you are able to use some protectionist mechanism to prevent some form of imitation of the innovation you are using to add value to your goods and services. And you are also able to produce products that are sufficient in meeting your customers' taste and preference. Once you sufficiently achieve this, then it can put you on the path to achieving competitive advantage.
So, Doc.
Yes.
So, Doc, yeah, all the strategies that you are discussing is to have a competitive advantage over your competitor, right? So, by poaching the best brain behind my competitor, let's say product, that's like as we are saying, Apple versus Samsung. We're able to if 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 one of them is able to put the best brain behind their competitor, just to weaken the competitor's advantage, how are you going to term that under this?
Yes.
Course? How are you going to term that such?
Oh, so if okay, I understand where you are coming from. If so, there are, as part of the protectionist strategies, whenever you engage somebody as a talent to work for you over a period of time, and it gets to a point in time where all your trade secrets are embodied in such persons, what you can do is that you will engage them through what we call non-competing clauses, wherein even when they decide to leave your organization, they cannot join your competitor to be providing some of these trade secrets. And that is what they normally do to safeguard some of the know-how that they might have procured through some talented workforce. But if you are unable to do this and your competitor is successful in poaching them, then that will also mean that although you intended to remain competitive, you were not treating them well, or you were not placing the worth of value on them as it is supposed to be. And that is how come when they were offered something substantial than what you are offering, they were ready to go. It could be a number of factors. Maybe how they even want the direction of technologies to go, you are dragging them behind. You are not having the stomach to do so. And for that reason, they think there are others that want to be ahead of time. And so that is why they may be willing to go and join them. So as much as possible, all these considerations have to be put into their right perspective. And I think when it is properly done, it wouldn't be a simple matter of just poaching someone from one organization to a competing one, but you should be able to have some clauses such that anytime you see their switch and a replication of your product, then you can take not only themselves on, but the company that they are working for also on. In fact, there is a particular case study that I'll share with you later on. So, you know, Coca-Cola has its own pristine taste as far as the taste of Coke is concerned. And the same applies to Guinness. So some of the fine brains that were behind that particular formula of their taste joined at that time, they joined at Pepsi. And when they went in there, so those of you that also have good tongue and you're able to distinguish between the two, because some of us, all those black things, whether it is Bear Cola, Meat Cola, or whatever, it tastes the same. So he was saying, what was it say? But in fact, some are able to distinguish that this one, apart from the color, there is more cola or there is more sugar in this particular brand than the other. So when they joined PepsiCo, they were trying to sell the formula to them in order for to see whether that can be an avenue for PepsiCo to take over the customer base of Coca-Cola. And PepsiCo went ahead to report those guys, which in the corporate world, we will say that amounts to good faith and good energy in competition. Because if eventually it had gone through and they picked samples of PepsiCo and they realized it is exactly replicating the formula of Coca-Cola, that would have amounted to a lot of damages for PepsiCo. So such protectionist mechanism and non-competing clauses can be integrated to make sure that even when you are losing your talented workforce to competing organizations, they wouldn't go there to be replicating exactly what you were doing. It will bar them from doing so. Any other question? Let me see the comment section. Coca-Cola has, yes, Coca-Cola. Yes, apart from Coca-Cola, I know Guinness also has that clause. This South African beer that used to be in Ghana, Castle. Also, previously there was a beer in Ghana. They call it Castle Male Stout.
Yeah.
Most of these companies have such clauses. Careful. All right. Then the low-cost focus strategy. Low-cost focus strategy. The low focus strategy and best value strategy originally was designed to help industries excel in market segments or market niches, which all other competing organizations had hitherto not considered worthy of venturing into. But with the passage of time, such niches or segments tend to provide indications that if the needs and the challenges of the targeted customers there are attended to, it can be a fine fortune for organizations to expand their businesses. For that reason, a successful focus strategy normally depends on, first of all, the segments of the industry that is having an opportunity for one to venture into, and the size of that particular segment. So focus strategy normally targets uncharted fronts, which means the sizes are not normally large. But such segments will have huge growth potential, which will now command the attention of all industry that may want to expand. For the focus strategy, it can be broken down to two, including the low cost focus strategy and best value focus strategy. The low cost focus, the cost leadership strategy, except to say that the quantum of goods and services that target that market niche is smaller. And this is so because the goal is to become, the goal is for the company to become a low-cost producer within that segment. And that will afford them the opportunity to offer products and services at prices that are lower than what competitors are currently offering on the market. So if the targets of the focus strategy is you are producing at a lower scale, but at a very low for your targeted focus segments. Then there is the best value focus strategy, which seeks to the best value is also similar to the differentiation strategy, except to say that the focus of the differentiation is on a specific market segment. So there is an emphasis on producing high quality products or services. that can be patronized by individuals with deep pockets. But the target of these valuable products is not the general market, but a specific segment of the market. And the goal is to offer goods and services that are unique or different from the ones that are currently available in that niche, and that is also able to command higher prices than what competitors may be willing to offer in that community. You can equally achieve your long-term objectives. You can equally, it looks like the internet is unstable. Can you hear me?
Yes, please. As we are saying, it's on. No.
Okay, you can buy your products or services such that the value that comes with it in the eyes and the perception of your targeted customers is substantial to force them to pay higher amount of money for it. In the same vein, Porter is of the view that you may decide to produce low cost, you may decide to adopt a cost leadership strategy to produce on a mass scale at a relatively cheaper price after you have sufficiently identified cheap source of raw material, cheap labor, and a thriving distribution channel that can ease the transfer of your products or services to your end users. And under such dispensation, you will be in a position to charge relatively low prices for your goods and services, which will mean that the amount of patronage of your products in the market will be very fast, and in no time, you will gain some profit, go back into production, and bring the product back into the business in that particular cyclical fashion. Then there is also the focus strategy where he contends that instead of targeting and producing on a large scale, rather, you will have to focus on some aspects of the industry which is uncharted but very much promising to identify the needs and preferences of the targeted customers within that segment, and thereafter present moving goods and services that will address their peculiar interests, which is currently not available within the prevailing environment. And if you do the permutations and combinations, that is where you'll be getting the various variations. Any questions so far? Then let's quickly look at some trial. Let me give you a trial question to see how you will respond to it. And so give me some few minutes. Okay, are you there?
Yes, no.
Yes, sir.
What is the key difference between related diversification and unrelated diversification? What is the key difference? Who will want to attempt?
Hello, Doc.
Yes, Isaac Panji.
Yes, Doc. Panzi. For the related, you enter a new market which is related to the services or products you are delivering. But for the unrelated, it is a whole new area altogether that, as at the moment, you are not operating in.
All right. And the next, then you will tell me the particular scenario. So are you ready?
Sorry, Doc.
I'm going to give you a scenario or an example, a preamble. Then you will tell me the type of strategy that was employed in that particular scenario.
All right.
Are you ready?
Yeah, Doc, I'm listening.
Okay. And this is to the whole class, not only Isaac. A bank decides to close unprofitable branches and subsidiaries. As a way again. So let's say Barclays Bank decides to close some of its unprofitable branches and also decides to reduce the number of staff that it presently has in an attempt to cut down costs. What type of strategy is Barclays Bank employing here? So Barclays Bank decides to close some of its unprofitable branches and subsidiaries, and at the same time, reduce the total number of staff that is working across the length and breadth of their branches as a way of mitigating or cutting down costs. What sort of strategy is Barclays Bank employing?
Sir.
Yes, Michael Tete. Oh, Michael is not ready. Was that Joyce? Yeah, Joyce, go on.
Yes, they are using a defensive strategy, precisely the retrenchment.
Very good, very good. Okay, now I'm going to give another example. So we are all familiar with Starlink. Let's say Starlink decides to launch youth to transfer starts rolling out a technology or a platform that can be used in transferring money, maybe whether on your mobile phone or through the internet to other friends and cronies across the globe. What type of strategy is Starlink employing here? Yeah, Veronica.
So is it unrelated diversification?
It is diversification, all right. But what type of diversification are we talking about? Okay, you explain why you think it is why do you think it is unrelated?
It is related.
No, one at a time. So,
Starlink,
Veronica, why do you think it is unrelated?
Currently, Starlink provides internet services,
yeah.
And per example you give, is it mobile money?
They are now venturing into a platform that can help in sending and receiving money.
So providing mobile money and internet services, I don't think they are the same. So it's unrelated. I see it as unrelated.
Unrelated, okay.
Yes.
Curtis, why do you think it is related?
I think it's related because it is creating a new product and services for existing customers.
For existing customers. And they are also going to rely on their the same technology that they have. Just that it is not only going to be limited to mobile phones, but it can even be on your laptop, or they can even have other intermediaries that may be operating as mini banks for their transfer and reception. Okay, so depending on the level and the sophistication of your analysis, it may fall within related or unrelated. But the bottom line is that it's a form of diversification strategy, which I'm happy you are able to identify. Now, another one. Let's say so Ghana Commercial Bank, I think they have a J-Money, was saying. So GCB has J-Money, right?
Yeah.
Those of you that banks with GCB,
yes,
they have their own platform, which they call J-Money. Yes. GCB introduces J-Money banking application to her existing customers in order to improve service delivery to these customers. What type of strategy is this? So they are introducing J-Money in order to improve their service delivery to the customers and make their services readily available to the customers, so that the customers will not have to walk all the way to the bank premises before they can check their balance, withdraw money, or send money. What sort of strategy is that? Jane, do you want to try? Okay, Curtis.
So it's a product development strategy that's related, because it's trying to create a more development strategy.
Okay, it's an intensive strategy and specifically product development strategy, because the intention is to create a product or a service avenue which will improve the experiences of the customers. So it amounts to product development strategy. One last question. Let's say a bank. So in this regard, Stanchart Ghana identified a thriving business idea which was being championed by a fintech company started by a GCTU student. And so Stanchart decided to acquire this fintech company in order to control its dominance within the digital payment platforms. What type of strategy will this be? So StanChart is acquiring a fintech startup company that is very much promising in Ghana now, developed by a student in GCT, so that it will consolidate StanChart's control within the digital payments ecosystem. What type of strategy will that be and why? Who wants to take this one? This one, the one been at 5 marks. Hey, I'm on 45 miles. All of a sudden, the microphones are beeping. Okay, Ernest, let me hear you, Ernest.
Okay, Doc, horizontal integration.
Horizontal integration. Explain further and let me see.
So they want to increase their control. That's why they are acquiring the product from the GCT person.
Okay. It would have been horizontal integration if the two were direct competitors. You see, fintech companies provide platform for these banks to carry out their intermediary function. So they are not direct competitors. So think about it again and see whether you get it.
No.
Who else wants to try? So, NS has made it easy because he has contextualized the answer for us to know where we are supposed to derive it from. So who would like to hit the nail right on the head? Yes, it is integration strategy, but what specific type of integration?
It's backward. Backward.
Why is it backward? Explanation let me hear.
Because now they want to control the platform. They want to own it. It's like a supplier. The supplier, they are owning the supplier. They are owning the platform completely. And they will take control.
Exactly. So instead of partnering them, they want to acquire it and own it outright. And that will give them much dominance within the ecosystem of, how do you call it? Of fintech, right? Okay.
So my 5 marks.
Oh, this one there. If I give it to you, I will not be fair to NS. Was it NS that initially said it was integration? Because I wanted to give him the opportunity to finish it now.
Two and a half. So zero.
I will see how I will handle it for you and Ernest. Don't worry, I'll see how it goes.
Hello, sir.
Okay. Yes, is that Jane or who was that? Okay, Adam.
Yes, sir. So what of the horizontal integration? The meaning, I want to understand the two.
The horizontal integration. Think about it this way. We normally employ horizontal integration when the intention is to either acquire or partner with a competing organization. So if the organizations you are trying to analyze are not in direct competition, then you cannot be saying they are integrating horizontally. We would rather say, yes, that is it. In the scenario that I painted, we all know fintechs provide support services for the intermediary role of banks in society. In fact, it is an emerging ecosystem that is believed to be very much viable for banks to thrive. And that is why they are all integrating and embracing it.
Okay,
so they are not direct competitors.
Okay, so it means backwards is like acquisition, and then horizontal is like a measure or something?
No, tubo. Backward means, okay, so yeah, you can think of backward as acquisition so that you own it outright. And you said which one is the other one? You said the other one be
the horizontal. I said horizontal means, so it means that horizontal is like a measure or something.
It's a measure of a sort.
Okay.
All right. And there was something that I also wanted to share with the class. Just a minute.
Sir.
Before I forget. Yes.
Sir, this is Sandra.
Hey, Sandra, today you've been very, very quiet for my liking.
Yes, because there's nobody controlling the kids, so it's like I'm doing both at the same time.
It's understandable.
The question
Sandra,
that
go on.
somebody asked the question about saying that the horizontal is what measure. I wanted to get clarification on what the question he asked.
The question that I asked for the answer to be given.
He said in other words the horizontal is he said what acquisition and something is measure.
Yeah,
I didn't hear him.
Backward.
He said the backward is what acquisition. Yeah.
So in backward
so I want to find out.
You end up going back to acquire some assets or source of raw material that will eventually, which we eventually have control or autonomy over. In horizontal integration, yes, in horizontal integration, what happens is that you end up partnering with a competitor by way of either colluding to get rid of the catching truth competition that exists between the two of you. So, in the long run, kill the competition out of the markets.
Okay, so sir, my question would be, in a situation like before MTN started doing broadband, right? It was mostly Vodafone that were dominating that aspect of broadband.
Yeah.
So you can if MTN wanted to, let's say, buy like Telecel to dominate that aspect of it, they are not partnering. Yes, but they want to buy like acquire like Telecel so that they will be able to capitalize on that aspect. Like before the MTN started, so let's say like 5 or 6 years ago, when Telecel was dominating the broadband. If MTN had decided that they want to like acquire the Vodafone and capitalize on their broadband that was flourishing, will that be horizontal or
that will be an excellent exposition of horizontal integration.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Just a minute. I want to confirm some few things before we leave here. Did I mention to you in my introductory comment that you can check your results on the LMS now, the quiz that we did?
Yes.
So you can exactly, yeah. So you can check it now. The performance was generally good, and I hope and pray that you use your own ability to do it and not any form of AI. Right? I just
said there was no even time for the AI. The way the time was running.
That is what I'm saying. I just hope you use your own understanding and ability to do it. Other than that, generally, it was okay. So I set up the quiz such that I think there were 2 chances, right? And it will pick your highest score for you. And going through the performance of the class, it wasn't that bad. It is actually a good indication that you've started mastering some of the concepts that we've gone through. God willing, next week, we will do quiz 2. So please keep on, get ready for some of these quizzes that will be popping up. At this level, you are all mature. That is why I'm not organizing pop-up quiz. A pop-up quiz will mean that immediately we start the class now, then I say, no, let's all go to LMS without pre-informing you to get prepared for it. But I am expecting the best from you based on the preparation you do before you come to class. So please take notes for quiz 2 next week. Okay, unless there are any questions or concerns, we will end it here and continue, God willing, next week.
Yeah, Doc, I wanted to comment on what Sandra said. Can I also say with Sandra's
go ahead.
submission? Yeah. Can I also say that with Sandra's, can I say it is also direct diversification because they are in the same business and they are expanding by acquiring Airtel Tigo just to expand their base. So can I say, based on what she said, it can also say that it's direct or related.
It will rather be related.
Related. Yeah. That's what I wanted to say. Can I say that?
Diversification. Yeah, it also has traces and footprint of related diversification in it. So you can draw some inspiration from that angle. But in the strict sense of it, it amounts to horizontal integration.
Horizontal. Okay. Thank
you. If you are contemplating about the switch from whatever to the broadband, following the procurement of Telecel by MTN, and that is where the other layer of diversification comes in. But from the surface, it looks more of a horizontal integration. But of course, when you try to interrogate it further, that is where you see these other nuances that may be embedded into it.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Mabel, someone discussing, that means we are not meeting face-to-face next week, God willing. Class reps, please let's discuss for us to know exactly what we are doing next week. I thought next week is next week online or face-to-face? As per our schedule. So you do the checks, I'll also do the checks, and then we'll see what we'll do. Even if
I think next week is online. No.
Yes, and that is to the best of my knowledge. But you don't worry. Let's check to double sure. Even when it is face-to-face trial now, don't worry. I will do the quiz for you. I'll let you do it online so that you can, you wouldn't rush to do it for me, but you will have some range of time within which to finish the quiz. All right, enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you, Doc. Face-to-face is 13th.
13th, which means, hey, debut, 13th will be the last day of our meeting. Please check it well. So you take your time and go and check.
That will be the face-to-face, we'll say.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Normally, we do face-to-face before, we do it a week before the final. So I also check our schedule to be double sure. All right.
Okay.